Did you know that one dwarf was not destined to live once, but 7 times? That's right, Durin the Deathless was destined to become the greatest dwarven king ever, and today we're breaking down this legend of his 7 lives. From ruling Khazad-dûm to battling the forces of darkness, Durin's legacy isn't just about history, it is a legend that shapes the fate of Middle-earth. So let's go and start this video. Durin's story is like no other, laid to sleep under Mount Gundabad, waiting for the awakening of the elves. Durin was the first of the 7 dwarf fathers and the only one to awaken alone. He walked east of the misty mountains and named all the nameless hills and dells until he came to Kheled Zaram, or better known as Lake Mirrormere. And one night he looked into the lake and saw a crown of 7 stars appear right above his head. His fate was sealed, and above the lake in the caves he founded this mighty kingdom of Khazad-dûm. But here is where things get a little interesting. He received the name Durin the Deathless, and not only just because of his reincarnation, but because he lived for more than 2,395 years, which, if you take a look at the average dwarf, is only 250 years. So why 7 lives? Well, according to Dwarven lore, Durin's spirit would be reborn through his descendants 6 times to be exact, and each new Durin would take the throne and carry on his legacy. It was believed that each new Durin had the memories of its past lives. From Durin II to Durin VII, each believed that they were a reincarnation of Durin I. Of Durin II, we don't know much, only that he lived probably at the end of the First Age and the beginning of the Second, and that, like I said before, that he was king of Khazad-dûm. Durin III? Well, he is a big deal. He ruled during the forging of the Rings of Power, and it was Durin that received the Dwarven Ring of Power from Sauron, although the dwarves believe that Durin received one personally from Celebrimbor himself. Durin's leadership was pivotal during the siege of Eregion. When the elves were losing, Durin sent out a great force from Khazad-dûm, making sure that the elven survivors led by Elrond could escape north, which ultimately led to Elrond founding the last homely house of Rivendell. But because of Sauron's great army, the dwarves were driven back and Durin ordered the doors to be shut. But Eregion was only the beginning of Sauron's conquest. With his great army he took most of Eriador, and he took control of the Erin Mithrin and even Mount Gundabad. You heard me right. The birthplace of Durin I was overtaken and controlled by those filthy orcs. Due to this, the dwarves lost connection with their kin in the Iron Hills and closed themselves off from the outside world. That is why we don't know much of Durin IV and Durin V. We do know that they were kings of Khazad-dûm who wore the Ring of Power and deepened their halls and enlarged their riches. They must have lived at the end of the Second Age or the beginning of the Third Age. But now it gets even more interesting. Not all lives of Durin end in triumph. By the time we get to Durin VI, things take a dark turn. Khazad-dûm was the wealthiest kingdom in all of Middle-earth until they dug too deep. That is right, they awoken the Balrog of Morgoth, which is later called Durin's Bane, and this powerful demon put an end to Durin's reign and these ancestral halls of Khazad-dûm. It became later known as Moria, the Black Pit. The great city was abandoned, and the dwarven survivors led by Thrain, the grandson of Durin VI, relocated to Erebor. But Durin's story doesn't end here. Durin VII would return. Prophesied that he would be a direct descendant from Torrent Stonehelm, the son of Thane Ironfoot. Even some of the dwarves believed that this was Torrent's son himself, the last of Durin's lives, destined to reclaim Khazad-dûm, and he led his people back to their ancestral homes after more than 1,300 years. And there the dwarves remained until the world grew old and the dwarves failed and the race of Durin ended. The dwarves were very secretly during their lives. That is why we don't know much about Durin II, Durin IV and Durin V. We do know that all Durins were king of Khazad-dûm. Even Durin VII returned to Khazad-dûm and ruled over his people in their ancestral homes. But there was one dwarf who also tried to go back to Khazad-dûm, and that is Balin himself, the same Balin that joined Thorin's company to reclaim Erebor. But his tale is one of tragedy. If you are dying to know more about this tragic tale, then this is the next video you need to watch.